There is something that Jewish millionaires do at 6 in the morning that poor people cannot even imagine. It is not praying, and it is not working harder. It is something so simple that when you hear it, you will think it is obvious. But here is the problem. What seems obvious is rarely practiced, and what is not practiced never transforms. Ancient Jewish financial wisdom is not about possessing more money. It is about ruling over money before money begins to rule over you. The third habit I am going to reveal today is so powerful that it completely transformed the life of a man who once sold shoes on the street and later became the owner of a chain of stores across 3 different countries. And everything started with a single decision he made on a Tuesday. Shalom. My name is Rabbi Joseph, and for more than 2 decades I have devoted my life to studying the principles of Jewish prosperity that have sustained my people through exile, persecution, and global economic crises. Today, I am not here to offer cheap motivation. I am here to share patterns of thought that have been creating wealth for more than 3,000 years. Because here is a truth that almost no one tells you. Money does not follow people, it follows patterns. And the moment you change your patterns, your financial reality has no choice but to change with them. Let me tell you something I learned from the Talmud that completely revolutionized my understanding of money. In Pirkei Avot it is written, "Who is rich? The one who rejoices in his portion." For many years I misunderstood this teaching and believed it meant resignation. I was completely wrong. What the Secrets of Jewish Millionaires truly teach is this: wealthy people control their emotions about money, while poor people are controlled by them. Look around you. How many people do you know who earn well, yet live constantly stressed? How many have respectable incomes but remain permanently broke? The problem is not how much money comes in. The problem is the emotional chaos with which people manage what comes in. Jewish millionaires practice something called seder, which in Hebrew means order. Before spending, they put order in their finances. Before investing, they put order in their finances. Before dreaming about having more, they first organize what they already have. And do you know what I discovered? Order is not boring. Order is freedom. Because when your finances are organized, your mind becomes free to create wealth instead of endlessly chasing money. There is a story in the Torah about Joseph in Egypt. When Pharaoh called him to interpret his dreams, Joseph did more than predict 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. He offered an action plan. Save 20% during the good years. Do you see the pattern? Joseph did not react to abundance by spending more. He governed abundance with discipline, and that discipline saved an entire nation. Poor people see extra money and immediately think, what can I buy? Wealthy people see extra money and ask, how can I multiply this? The difference is not in the amount of money. The difference is in the mental pattern. The teachings of the Talmud about wealth are very clear. The one who does not master his impulses will be mastered by his circumstances. And here is a secret that very few people understand. Financial order does not begin with spreadsheets. It begins with brutal honesty about where you truly are. Jewish millionaires do not lie to themselves. They know exactly how much they owe, how much they own, and how much they need. Poor people avoid looking at their numbers because they are afraid, and fear without action always leads to paralysis. So what do millionaires do that poor people do not? They sit with the truth every single week, without excuses. They review their situation, they adjust, they correct. Not when they feel ready, but because it is the right thing to do. And over time, this silent habit creates a gap so wide that it looks like luck. But it is not luck. It is the way money is created according to the Torah, with order, with discipline, and with truth. Now let us go even deeper. In Kabbalah, there is a concept called spiritual cause and effect. It may sound mystical, but it is brutally practical. It teaches this principle. Everything you receive on the material plane has already been planted on the plane of action. In other words, you cannot harvest what you have never sown. Poor people wait to harvest before they sow. They say, when I have money, I will invest. When I earn more, I will save. When things improve, I will give charity. Do you see the pattern? They wait for the harvest to arrive first, but that is not how the universe works. That is not how money works, and that is certainly not how the principles of Jewish prosperity work. Jewish millionaires save even when they have little, invest even when it feels uncomfortable, and give even when it hurts. Why? Because they understand a profound truth written in the Torah. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse. Test me in this, says the Lord of hosts, and see if I will not open for you the windows of heaven and pour out for you a blessing in abundance. This is not religion. This is spiritual physics. When you act as if you already have abundance, the universe responds as if you already are abundant. When you behave like a wealthy person before becoming one, you activate patterns of prosperity. I am not talking about pretending. I am talking about sowing with intelligent faith. Let me share a real example. I once knew a man named David in St. Paulo who barely earned enough to survive. Yet every Friday before Shabbat, he set aside 10% of everything he earned for charity and prosperity. His friends told him he was insane. How can you give when you hardly have enough? His answer was simple. I do not give what is left over. I give from what I have, and I trust that Hashem will provide what I need. 3 years later, David owned 2 thriving businesses. Was it magic? No, it was a pattern. When you show through your actions that you trust abundance, your subconscious mind begins searching for opportunities instead of focusing on scarcity. Business, according to Jewish wisdom, is built on this eternal principle. Sow first, harvest later, always in that order. Poor people say, I cannot invest because I do not have. Wealthy people say, I do not have because I have not invested. Do you see the difference? One waits for perfect conditions, the other creates conditions through action. Ancient Jewish financial wisdom teaches this. The best time to sow was yesterday. The second best time is now. And here is the most powerful secret of all. When you sow consistently, even in small amounts, you train your brain to think like an investor instead of a consumer. Poor people are consumers waiting for money. Wealthy people are investors creating returns. According to the verses of the Torah about wealth, those who sow with tears will reap with joy. But first come the tears, first comes the sacrifice. And this is the point where most people give up. Let me speak to you directly. Poor people live only in the immediate present. Millionaires live in the future they are actively creating. And this difference changes everything. In the Talmud, there is a powerful teaching. A wise man sees the future. This does not mean he predicts the future. It means he builds the future through the decisions he makes today. The secrets of Jewish millionaires are not about earning more money today. They are about building systems that generate abundance tomorrow, next year, and in the next decade. And do you know why the Jewish people survived for 2,000 years without land, without an army, and without a government? Because they always thought 3 generations ahead. When a Jewish father educates his son, he is not thinking merely about his child's well-being. He is thinking about the welfare of his grandchildren and even his great-grandchildren. This is the mentality of legacy. This is true wealth. The poor ask, what can I buy this month? The rich ask, what asset can I build that will grant me freedom in 5 years? One thinks in spending, the other thinks in assets. One chases immediate pleasure, the other builds God's plan for abundance with strategic patience. There is a story I always share. In the Talmud, it is told that the sage Oni was walking along a path when he saw an old man planting a carob tree. He asked, how long until this tree bears fruit? The old man replied, 70 years. Oni was shocked. And you believe you will live 70 more years to enjoy it? The old man smiled and answered, I inherited carob trees planted by my parents. Now I plant for my children. This is the mindset that creates dynasties. Jewish prosperity principles teach you to think generationally, not monthly. And do you know what happens when you think this way? You stop making foolish decisions. You stop accumulating debt for things you do not need. You stop chasing quick money that disappears even faster than it comes. Jewish millionaires build systems, not mere results. They invest in education that will bear fruit in years. They create businesses that generate passive income. They acquire assets that appreciate over time. Meanwhile, the poor purchase liabilities that depreciate: new cars, designer clothes, gadgets that lose value instantly. Here is the key. Long-term vision is not a sacrifice. It is delayed intelligence. It is saying no today so you can say yes to everything tomorrow. It is living like no one lives today to live like no one lives in 5 years. The Talmud teaches clearly, patience with a purpose always outperforms urgency without direction. Millionaires plant trees that will bear fruit in 10 years. They invest in skills that make them indispensable. They cultivate relationships that open doors, not because they are special, but because wealth is a process, not an event. For Jews, managing money wisely is not just financial intelligence. It is a spiritual act. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth." It is not God giving wealth. It is God giving the power to create wealth. The responsibility is yours. The poor pray for money. The rich pray for wisdom to multiply it. The poor ask for provision. The rich ask for strategy. One waits for miracles. The other acts in faith and aligns with the correct principles. Financial discipline rests on 3 pillars: immediate separation, avoiding consumer debt, and conscious management. Separate 10% for charity, 10% for savings, 10% for investment. Avoid debt that buys liabilities. Manage every cent wisely. Every coin is a soldier. I knew a woman named Rochelle. While her friends bought cars on credit, she bought properties. While they traveled on debt, she invested in training. 10 years later, she lives off her rents. Her friends are still in debt. The difference was discipline applied as a spiritual act. Discipline is anticipated freedom. Every no today is a step toward freedom tomorrow. He who guards his mouth and his wallet guards himself from worries. Financial discipline transforms you. It makes you honest, reliable, and respectable. The difference between rich and poor is mentality. The poor say, there is not enough. The rich say, there is always enough for those who create value. The poor say, money is hard to get. The rich say, money flows to those who solve problems. Kabbalah teaches, the outer world reflects the inner world. Scarcity in the mind brings scarcity in life. Possibility in the mind brings opportunity in life. The Talmud, everything is in the hands of heaven except the fear of heaven. Jewish millionaires see abundance in crisis. During the Great Depression, while millions went bankrupt, some Jews built empires. They bought properties at liquidation prices and invested while others sold. They thought differently. Most people are poor because they unconsciously choose poverty. Every "I can't" reinforces scarcity. Every envy reinforces limitation. Every justification reinforces mediocrity. Tzedakah, charity, and prosperity are connected. Giving from mental abundance declares trust to the Creator. The poor hold back. The rich give strategically. What flows multiplies. What stagnates dies. Reprogram your mind from scarcity to abundance, from victim to creator, from spectator to protagonist. Knowledge without action is mere entertainment. The secrets I shared are not theory. They are proven patterns over millennia. The Lord gives you the power to create wealth, but power without action is wasted potential. Start. One step, one decision, one action. So, even if you do not see the harvest, act with discipline, think like the rich, and the universe will respond because God provides the seed, you provide the soil and labor, and together you create the harvest. If you want more wisdom to rise and conquer your life, subscribe to the channel, Rise and Conquer.